Hello and welcome back to Bookish. Recently, Lucas over at Bits of Lit challenged me to make a video about a poem that I like, to read the poem and to explain what I liked about the poem. And he did this because he did the buddy read tag, and somehow he read prompt number 6, which was to discuss a private or public reading challenge as an invitation to challenge someone to read outside their comfort zone. Obviously, Lucas has not been paying attention to my channel, as all of you must, because he seems to think that by challenging me to read and explain a poem, he is going outside my comfort zone. Little does he know, apparently, that I have a whole playlist of videos called Poetry for Beginners, where I do exactly what he challenged me to do here. So, rising to that challenge, in the hopes perhaps that I will win what he refers to as the BookTube Federation Championship somehow, I've done that. And the poem I've chosen to read and to talk about is Trout by Seamus Heaney.
Trout by Seamus Heaney. Hangs, a fat gun barrel, deep under arched bridges, or slips like butter down the throat of the river. From depths smooth-skinned as plums, his muzzle gets bull's eye. Picks off grass seed and moths that vanish, torpedoed. Where water unravels over graveled beds, he is fired from the shallows, white belly reporting flat. Darts like a tracer bullet back between stones and is never burnt out. A volley of cold blood, ramrodding the current.
Now, what we're supposed to talk about in the poem is what we like about the poem. So there are a couple of things I like about the poem. If you know me, you know I like to fish. This is a poem about fish. I have this kind of fascination with catching fish and with, I guess outsmarting fish and getting them to bite whatever lure I'm throwing out there so they can catch them. And this really is a poem, I think, in which Heaney is comparing this fish to essentially a machine, and it is a machine of destruction, a machine perhaps of death, and so the imagery oftentimes is that of a gun or a bullet or some kind of a weapon. So if you look at the lines of the poem, and I'll try to put it back up one side or the other. If you look at the lines of the poem, obviously there are the words of fat gun barrel, meaning like a gun. Then muzzle. Guns have a muzzle where the bullet comes out. Then torpedoed is in there. Bullseye for a target is in there. Then let's see. Tracer bullet, ramrod, volley, fired. These words come up over and over again, which again kind of go back to that initial image of comparing the trout to a gun barrel, comparing the trout to a weapon, comparing the trout to something which is brutally efficient and yet in the process is also beautiful. And I think that imagery works really well. And I like this poem because of that. But my favorite thing about this poem is that third stanza where Heaney writes, "Where water unravels over gravel beds, he is fired from the shallows, white belly reporting flat." By the way, reporting is also the sound that a bullet makes, oftentimes from a distance. And if you've ever heard a gun fired or a bullet, there's a certain flatness to the sound of a bullet being fired, which distinguishes it from other things. Sorry, but I love the words I love this stanza, and I love this run of words. Where water unravels over gravel beds, he is fired from the shallows, white belly reporting flat. I love that line. That to me sells the poem and makes the whole thing, beautiful, while at the same time describing this kind of brutally efficient killer. There's my explanation of the Trout by Seamus Heaney. And I'm going to challenge people to do this because it was fun for me to do, because I do like talking about poems I like. So I'm going to challenge 4 people to do a Poetry Thursday video at some point. It doesn't have to be next week. And that would be Aaron Facer, kind of a new booktuber, and I believe he reads poetry on his channel, so not outside his comfort zone. Roz from Scallydandly about the books, because I believe that Roz and I had a conversation about Seamus Heaney and this poem in particular, because I did a Seamus Heaney poem for Poetry for Beginners. I believe Ross was surprised that I didn't choose the Trout, and then I instead chosen Digging. And then Hannah, from Hannah's books, because I happen to know that Hannah met Seamus Heaney. And then I'm going to challenge Mark Nash because I think he is probably the person, and this is unfair, for whom maybe reading of poetry on his channel would be most unusual. So there you go. Not a tag, but a challenge. Thank you, Lucas, for the challenge. Hopefully I rose to it, and I will be in contention for that BookTube Federation Championship. Thank you for watching. I look forward to your comments in the comment section below.